the nation faces increasing threats against American democracy, including the dangers of authoritarianism and undermining democratic institutions, we just had an election and Trump won. What are they talking about?
Another state like mine, where we've got Democratic control of the House and the Senate and the governorship, we may be able to do much more and will be.
Can you talk about your concerns about the incoming president's threats already made that he could withhold federal disaster aid?
It's pretty childish.
Democrat governors from various states now forming an anti-Trump coalition to unify their resources to stop the new administration. Chicago Sun-Times is reporting that it's starting with Illinois billionaire governor J.B. Pritzker and Colorado governor Jared Polis, who replaced the Colorado flag, I believe. Was that him or was that Walz? Maybe both of them. Or Polis was the governor who air-assisted Jenna Griswold after her leaky password problem to replace all the devices. Pritzker was the billionaire who spoke before the CIA director spoke at the DNC. So two peas in a pod. They're perfect for this. They are now launching an anti-Trump organization, and here is what the website looks like. They call it Governors Safeguarding Democracy, for upholding and fortifying democracy. We remember what fortifying democracy meant in 2020. Remember that? The election was very fortified with the FBI censoring your posts. So they posted this. They're all excited about it. They say they're going to be developing a playbook to enable governors to anticipate and swiftly respond to emerging threats from the Trump administration. What? Reinforce key state institutions to protect core democratic bodies and design affirmative strategies. And what do they need to do this, Democrats? Money. So just go donate to them, all right? And then they'll save America with your money. Here is what they posted in their press release. November 13th, they say, as the nation faces increasing threats against American democracy, including the dangers of authoritarianism and undermining democratic institutions, we just had an election and Trump won. What are they talking about? Governors will lead a new initiative called Governors Safeguarding Democracy, chaired by Pritzker and Polis. GSD is a historic nonpartisan coalition of governors, historic nonpartisan, meaning the opposite. So it's actually not historic at all. It's just kind of meaningless. And it's very partisan, working together to protect state-level institutions of democracy, leveraging their unique skill sets. They said, at this critical time in our history, we must unite to protect the foundations of our democracy and ensure our institutions withstand threats and persevere in their mission to improve the lives of our people. Said they're grounded in a belief that saving and strengthening our democracy will require robust activities. And so look at all this stuff. They're going to fortify their institutions to ensure the rule of law works for everybody. And they're going to bring together think tanks, legal experts, democracy advocates. They're going to work hard. They're going to try to figure out what to do about this. And they're probably not going to get it for quite some time. They've spent the last several decades brainwashing their people into believing that there are 37 pronouns. Now they're going to have to figure it out. So they're going to be spending a lot of time and money discovering themselves. Hopefully they spend some time in nature and get to the bottom of what's happening in their psyches. But apparently this is both of them on MSNBC. We've got Pritzker and Polis launching this new anti-Trump insurrectionary governors organization.
Ideas that some of which we've acted upon over the last 6 years and some of which are still needing to be acted upon. And each state has a different situation in which they may want to act upon that. For example, there are states where you've got a party in control of the governorship, but not in control of the legislature. So that governor may only be able to put in place executive orders. Another state like mine, where we've got Democratic control of the House and the Senate and the governorship, we may be able to do much more and will be. And so I think the idea here is to create a catalog, to create dialogue amongst the governors about what is possible. And if you wanted to pursue something in your state, and it will be different in each state, that's available to you. And this organization will support you in doing that.
Yeah, maybe they'll form the new confederacy like they did the last time. We'll see if that happens. They're also joined by other organizations. Chicago Sun-Times is posting about it. There was also this Governors Act Alliance. This is some other organization that's also popping up. So you can see they're emerging. There's one org, Governors Safeguarding Democracy, Reproductive Freedom Alliance, joining together former governors of Wisconsin, former governor of Massachusetts, and more. So they're arming up, building out their team, and Gavin Newsom from California is doing the same. Here's a little bit of what he said.
We're going to have to get going.
That will be determined, but one thing we did accomplish is get everybody on the same page. Our two senators met with the senator-elect earlier and congressional representatives that are current and some future representatives, and just getting everybody on the same page.
Can you get specific about something you came here wanting?
We talked about 122 lawsuits we were involved in the Trump administration. We talked about the special session and how we're going to move aggressively to be proactive and not reactive to the incoming Trump administration. We talked about the playbook that's very familiar, that goes back even before Donald Trump to the George W. Bush administration as it relates to particularly specifically issues relating to the environment, clean air, that go back to Ronald Reagan, 1967. And we talked about issues around immigration and deportation. And we also talked about the immediate, to your question, and this is important, specific waivers that are pending on the president's desk or agency
Such
desks
as?
and across the spectrum.
What waivers?
Well, I'll just leave it at high level in three categories: in healthcare, in the environment, and in notably a hybrid on behavioral health.
Okay. Did you meet with any Republicans while you were here?
Not today, though I was with one Republican signing of an agreement with reclamation on San Luis Dam.
Why not meet with Republicans since they're going to control Congress?
Well, I think the most important thing I can do right now is to make sure that our coalition and our caucus is all on the same page as we prepare for the incoming
Can you
mission.
talk about your concerns about the incoming president's threats already made that he could withhold federal disaster
Well,
aid?
it's pretty childish. I was with an American president yesterday at the Oval Office, and I was with an American president last week when I got a phone call from him saying he wanted to support our efforts on disaster recovery in Ventura, California, that was suffering from a major wildfire. And there was no conditions. He didn't ask me to change policy on water
talking about Biden?
in order to support the American people in my home state. That's not the state of mind of Donald Trump. And that's not just...
All right, so you can see it's going to be hilarious because the governors are going to be in hostile territory for the next 4 years. So just constantly, he's going to run for office, right? He wants to be the next president. So for the next 4 years, he'll be making it known where he stands against President Trump. And of course, we'll be here to cover it.